Okay, this is honestly just one of those videos where I just felt like hitting the record button today. So, here we are. Yeah, I'm just going to give an update on my fantasy team about halfway through the season, give or take. So, just as a quick recap, this is a 14 team league, half PPR. Quarterback touchdowns are worth 6 points. And my team that I drafted is CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Zay Flowers, Courtland Sutton, Travis Kelce, Travis Hunter, Najee Harris, Chris Godwin, Jordan Love, Darnell Mooney, Chris Boswell, Quentin Johnston, Isaac Guerrero, San Fran's defense, Cam Ward. That's the team I drafted. So as you can imagine, the team has definitely changed up a lot. Right now, I'm sitting at 4-3. I'm going to be 5-3 after this game tonight because I scored 173 points this week. So, what does my fantasy team look like now? Well, I still have Jordan Love. He's my main starter. Although I have considered benching him in the past just because, he's very consistent with his floor. He'll typically get you about 15 points, typically no more than that. And that's been fine. But I have Trevor Lawrence sitting on the bench now after I dropped Cam Ward. I dropped Cam Ward like week 3 or 4, and I picked up Trevor Lawrence, and he's been sitting on my bench ever since. However, after what happened last night, I think I'm going to stick with Jordan Love for the time being, as he got me 34 points. Now, moving on to my receivers. So typically, most weeks, I would start CeeDee Lamb, Courtland Sutton, Zay Flowers, and Quentin Johnston, a solid 4 wide receivers. However, one of them is now gone. A couple weeks ago, I traded away Quentin Johnston, and I'll get into who I traded him for here in a bit. But I traded Quentin Johnston, even though he was getting a consistent 10 to 15 points every week. And the reason I traded him is because, one, he's had a lingering hamstring injury. And 2, it's a dice roll in that Chargers offense. You never know who's going to get the ball every week. It could be, the running back. It could be Keenan Allen. It could be Vlad McConkey. Or it could be Quentin Johnston. You just don't know. Especially with how inconsistent the Chargers can be at times. I didn't want to keep Quentin Johnston around. So, I traded him for a running back. The running back I traded him for is Kenneth Walker. I traded him for Kenneth Walker because I had 2 really good starting running backs. I had Jonathan Taylor and I had James Cook. Those 2 absolutely carrying my fantasy team. I love you guys both to death. Keep doing what you're doing, please. You guys are my best friends. But I didn't have a third running back. So when one of them would go on a bye week, and I suppose I should say, the week I traded Quentin Johnston away was James Cook's bye week. So I really needed something there. And I'm happy I did, I think, so far. Because Quentin Johnston didn't have any targets on Thursday, and Kenneth Walker, he's been okay. But I haven't really needed him to do much of anything, in all fairness. So that's where my wide receivers are. And I still have CeeDee Lamb, Courtland Sutton. Zay Flowers should be getting more production in the coming weeks now that Jackson should be coming back on Thursday. And so I'm pretty happy with my wide receivers. I also have Travis Hunter sitting on the bench. And I have Chris Godwin on the IR. That's where my wide receivers are. As for my running backs, as I said, I have Jonathan Taylor and James Cook. Those 2 absolutely have been carrying my fantasy team all year, and I love them both to death. Although, Jonathan Taylor, please don't go. too hard next week, please. Yeah, Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook. Those are my core 3 running backs. So now I have 3 solid running backs and 3 solid receivers, which is where I like to be. But then I have a 4th guy who's been pretty good. And I picked him up off of waivers after Marion Hampton got hurt. I picked up both Kamani Vidal and Hassan Haskins. Of course, after Marion Hampton got hurt, everyone assumed that Hassan Haskins would be the lead guy in that offense. Turns out, it's Kamani Vidal. Kamani Vidal is the running back in this offense for the time being. And from the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like Marion Hampton is going to be coming back anytime soon. So Kamani Vidal is probably going to be in my starting lineup a lot these next few weeks. And then I also have Kenneth Gaingood for depth. Just because, why not? I might drop him. Haven't decided yet. That's where my wide receivers are right now. And then I have 2 tight ends. I have Travis Kelce still. I start him every week. And then I just picked up Oronde Gadsden on the waivers this past week. And honestly, I'm pretty happy. Because now it seems like Gadsden is getting more usage in that offense, even despite all the playmakers in that offense. So I'm pretty happy with that, in all honesty. So I have an option here. I was thinking, and let me know if this is a good idea, or don't. I don't care. I'm not expecting anyone to watch this. Would it be wise to trade Travis Kelce since I have Gadsden as the backup? And if so, what should I trade him for? At least attempt to get. I guess that would really depend on which teams need tight ends, in all fairness. But, I'm pretty happy with my team overall. And then I have Chris Boswell, Wizard of Boz, if you will, as my kicker. He's been spectacular all year. He got me 20 friggin' points last night. And then I have the Falcons defense who laid a dud, but that's the Falcons for you. But yeah, I picked up the Falcons defense like a week or 2 ago just because they've been pretty consistent for the most part. So yeah, I think I'm overall pretty happy with my team, I think. At least as it stands right now. I don't know. I might try and make a trade. I might try and give away Kelce. Haven't quite decided yet. I'm just a little worried that, there are going to be some weeks where Gadsden doesn't get any production because of how many playmakers are in the Chargers offense. But you can also make the same case with Travis Kelce. Getting Rashee Rice back. Of course, the receivers are all healthy again. And I'm sure they want to try and get the running game going at some point. So you can say the same thing about Travis Kelce. But the thing with Kelce is that he's proven that he can, be a workhorse. So I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. That's where my fantasy team stands after 8 weeks. For anyone who cares. Anybody at all who cares. But anyways, don't die.